Everybody once in your life has to go after your dream. Once in your life, you've got to put your heart, soul, spirit, and your credit cards towards something you believe in. And I certainly did that with Battlestar, and people thought I was nuts. People thought I was crazy. Everybody laughed in my face. And so I had kind of been down that road before, and I experienced what probably many before me had experienced. And honestly, it was the most exciting, thrilling time of my life, creating the Battlestar trailer, working on bringing the show back, all the things that I did, along with many, many others, not just me, who loved this show and believed in this show. And all I can tell you is that commitment for me has only been rewarded over and over and over and over again. I've gotten chances to write the comic books, work on the novels, and put the stories together for the Battlestar Galactica novels, work on the new show. My God, I feel like God blessed me, and I give thanks every day for the opportunity to not only act, but to work on a show that really is about something that explores real issues. For me, that's what great art is. And I'm proud to be part of Battlestar, both old and present. And every time I get a chance to go up to Vancouver and be in that most incredibly beautiful place, working with those wonderful actors and having, I gotta tell you, they have more fun on the set than anybody I've ever seen in my life. They're like a bunch of little kids in an amusement park. Everybody is singing and dancing and playing. I mean, they party together, they hang together, they have dinner together. I mean, it is one very extended family group who really cares about each other. And I think that's beginning, especially in the season coming up now. They started out with very conflicted, very kind of, characters that were hard to bond with because they had so many issues and problems, and yet as we got to know these characters, we began to care about them. And I think in this new season coming up, now you're getting a sense of the family of Galactica, that these characters have to hold and bond together to survive all the incredible challenges. So it's bringing a lot of the heart and spirit, I think, that was so indigenous to the original show back, along with these incredible, provocative storylines. So I think there's not too many other sci-fi shows I know out there that are as well produced, written, or acted as this show. So again, let me take some questions here and see where this might take us. Yes. Because the tone of the show is very, very different from the original to this show. This show is much more grounded, very much more pragmatic, much more down to earth. The other was a little bit more sci-fi fantasy, and so it kind of was, in a sense, this much more heroic kind of Moses and the Israelites kind of quality, which Charleston Heston kind of brought to that movie. And I think that Lauren Green brought that bigger-than-life quality to the show. And I think Edward Olmos is just an amazing actor who brings this, he kind of comes from, I think, he brings that I don't want to call it street mentality, but he brings that knowledge, that wisdom from living it, you know what I mean, from having gone through it. He brings that more tougher than nails quality, I think, to that role. And because the show is much more down to earth, much more grounded in the realities of today, he brings that really dynamic sensibility, that gut level, gritty, you know what I mean, honesty to the role. And I think he's doing an amazing job. The trouble is, again, for some people, is when you try to compare actors with actors. The hard part is to understand there are many ways to play a role, and that there can be extraordinary actors doing totally different things with a character. One of the characters that people had a lot of problems with was the Starbuck character in the beginning, because, everybody was in love with the original Starbuck, and I keep telling people, nobody played that better than Dirk Benedict, or that blonde-haired guy, whoever he was. Damn him to hell. Just kidding. You have to say that to anybody that gets laid all the time, it's really... He deserves it, Anyway, I can only tell you that I've gotten to know Katie Sackhoff and watched her performance grow, and I gotta tell you something. I think she is just an extraordinary actress. She has brought to life such a multi-leveled, complex, enigmatic, really unique character that I don't think has ever been done before. Well, thank you. Vodka? Starting it out early, getting water. I don't know about you, but I got in late last night, and as always, you try to get rest before DragonCon, because once you're here, you're not going to sleep at all, and you're going to drink way too much, and you're going to party way too much, and you're going to do all kinds of stuff. So, anyway, I love what she's doing with the role. Okay. Anyway, more questions? Yes. You know, I kept thinking, wouldn't it be cool if for some reason we find out Tom Zarek, there's some emergency, you know, and he's having to get somewhere and he runs and jumps in a Viper, you know, and goes out there and Apollo thinks it's the enemy and the two of us, you know, fight it out. Anyway, I don't know, but I'm going back up next week and doing a really, really great scene with Jamie. It's actually a wonderful show. I mean, just reading that show, I gotta tell you, I love the original cast, I love the original backstory, I love the original everything. I just struggled because even back then I've always loved science fiction and I love really, really hardcore science fiction. I love getting into it. And I was always having meetings with the writers over lunch trying to create more dynamic storylines and reading this next script, you know, Black Market, which really kind of features Jamie. I thought, Jesus Christ, you lucky dog. I would have died to get those scenes and those lines. You know, I mean, but thank God, you know, they could have done this in such a cheesy way and brought it back and done it cheap and hired a bunch of riffraff. But they, thank God, hired it, a lot of wonderful actors and really put a lot of money towards this show and have done it first class all the way. So, you know, they deserve everything they get. But nevertheless, a scene like that between me and, they kind of had that a little bit in that opening episode, you know, when we're in the prison cell and me and Jamie were kind of going at it. That's kind of, you know, they could obviously translate that to a Viper, maybe in some kind of a nightmare or a dream sequence, God knows. I'd love it, you know, what can I do? I'd like a lot of sequences with some of those females on that show, you know? I think Tom Zarek deserves, after 20 years in prison, taking it the hard way. I think I've paid my dues. I think, yes.
Does that mean you and Jamie are gonna, I'm just kidding. First, to me, I just wanted to thank you for kind of lending an air of legitimacy to the show, just, you know, through continuity. Not so much in character, but in person.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Certainly that it's Friday, and there's a lot of us here, and we all need to watch a show tonight somewhere.
It's not on tonight.
What?
It's not on tonight.
I'm a DragonCon. I don't care then. It works.
Well, I think we can all fit into a single king bed. Certainly all the women can fit in there. We'll kind of pass along, you know, like, they just did this. That's not. It just...
In any case, thank you.
Yeah, very welcome. Thank you very much. Another question, but yes.
Are you still in touch with any of the original cast? I never watched it. How do they feel about the new series?
I just got back from England where they had a classic Battlestar Galactica reunion convention. So all the stars of the original show were there. And along with, they actually brought in Aaron Douglas, who, by the way, who plays, you know, the crew chief, and he was a huge Battlestar Galactica fan. I mean, a huge Battlestar fan. And he was more than overjoyed to get a chance to hang out with all the original actors from the show. And I think it was really nice to see everybody again. But I think there's a kind of a mixed feeling, you know. You have to understand something. I mean, it's only human. If you were part of an original show and they bring back that show, that, you know, you feel a little cheated, or you feel like, oh my God, they could have, if they'd done a continuation. And you have to understand that Tom DeSanto and Bryan Singer, who had done X-Men 1 and 2, produced and directed those, were going to do a continuation of Battlestar. That was already, they'd already built half the sets up in Vancouver. They were a month and a half away from filming, and that would have had all the original actors in it, including a new generation of actors, and it would have been about 35 years into the future. But unfortunately, at the last minute, Bryan Singer had to jump ship. The deal was for a network pickup over at Fox for a full season, and then the minute Bryan Singer had to go on to X-Men 2, they dropped the deal, all the sets were piled in the crates and pulled away. The show went down.